So, The Devil on Trial is a very fascinating documentary on Netflix. So, it is based on true life incident. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It of 2021 is based on this incident. Actual people who have undergone this particular traumatic incident are actually coming on this documentary and giving their first hand experience and what they thought has happened in this documentary. So there is a mother, there's a father, and then there are three kids. So there is an elder brother and a sister and a younger brother. So here we see that they are moving into a new house. So the mother gives the son one task, like, you go and sweep this room. So he goes and brooms the room, but within a few minutes he comes out screaming. And why is he screaming? Everybody is like surprised, and then slowly it unravels that there is a demonic entity that is affecting this particular child. So now people are skeptical about it. They don't know whether to believe it or not, because a lot of people do not believe in all these haunted things, obviously, because this is not scientific, and so there is no proof that you can show to someone because people can't see it, other people can't hear it. So, how is it that this particular kid, he was just an 11-year-old kid, how he alone can see this particular demonic entity? So, for a long time, nobody believed him, but slowly, other family members also start seeing certain incidents, like they feel an earthquake one night, and then they're like, okay, fine, and the things are kind of getting out of hand. So the kid starts having these violent outbursts, and then the family finally decides to contact the paranormal investigators who were very famous at that time because they had investigated the Amityville horror incidents and kind of helped in that particular paranormal case. So they approach Ed and Lorraine Warren. So these two come and they come with the doctor, and the doctor investigates the kid and then finds that the kid is perfectly normal. And then they make certain their own personal investigations, like they see if there is one of them knocks on the basements, and the other person goes and checks around the house, and well, when they knock on the basement, the sound is again heard in response when they ask, and then they also see a demonic entity. So one of them is a psychic and is able to feel the negative energy around, and so she confirms that there is this particular demonic entity which is there in this house. Finally, the family decides to undergo exorcism for the kid. Getting an exorcism done was involved a lot of paperwork, but they somehow managed to get over all these hurdles and get the exorcism at a smaller scale organized for the kid. So once the exorcism is organized, they see that it's a very difficult process, because during exorcism even death can happen. So when this kind of exorcism was happening, they saw that the kid was getting bent over in unusual places where you cannot bend in the body. Going through, the tongue had swollen so much that he couldn't breathe. He had turned blue. He was almost going to die. So when this much happens, then the exorcism, the entire family was present. So we have, so families like the parents, and then they had two more sons, and then they had a daughter. So now daughter also had a boyfriend. So the boyfriend also is witnessing all these things. The boyfriend is 19 years old at the time, pretty young. All of them are young. And then he sees this, and then he just cannot stand it, because it is really, really jarring to see somebody dying in front of you. So he, out of sympathy, or he doesn't know what to do at that time, he just says that you just take me instead and leave this little kid alone, just to try his own way of trying to save the child, his girlfriend's brother, younger brother. And then suddenly everything stops. The demonic entity stops torturing this kid, and then the kid comes back to life. And but at that time, we see that Ed and Lorraine Warren are actually shocked when this happens, because you're not supposed to challenge a demonic entity and tell them that this is please take me instead, or challenge the demonic entity in any particular way. So they kind of foresee that, something evil can happen with this guy now, because he has invited trouble to himself. He should never have done it. You never try to go and challenge one such a huge demonic entity. And when that happens, they do not know what to do. They don't know what is the solution for this, but then they do warn the guy that anything can happen. So then life goes by, and then the kid is free from all these paranormal attacks, and they start leading a sort of normal life. But then after 6 months or so, there is this incident. So there was this guy who was the boyfriend of his sister. So he ends up murdering the landlord of his sister. So they were all together in a particular on a particular evening, and then finally some kind of fight apparently happens, and then he kills her. Now killing is also not like a normal killing. He stabs this guy, this landlord of his girlfriend, who is also a landlord of his girlfriend, his employer. So they all kind of knew each other very well, and then he stabs him multiple times in a very brutal manner. So it's kind of shocking to see, and he says that he has no recollection whatsoever of this incident. Here we have a guy who has killed another man in such a vigorous, horrifying manner that it is hard to imagine that you could have that much rage inside of you. And then you also hear the same guy saying he has absolutely no recollection whatsoever that he did this kind of a crime. So then the case goes to court, and then it's a very big murder trial. But then the guy who has committed the murder says he has no recollection or no memory of ever committing this crime. So this was the first time in the US legal system that this kind of a defense, that there is a demonic possession that has caused this brutal murder, has come into picture. It has never happened earlier before. And that is what the Conjuring 2021 movie is based on. It is based on this true incident which happened, and Ed and Lorraine Warren have gone and collaborated with the directors of the story, and the book was also published, but later on the family went to the publishers and got the book out of the markets. So this particular story shook the entire US when this kind of demonic possession is coming on a murder trial. Like, they don't know what to believe, what not to believe. Do demons even exist? A lot of people do not believe in paranormal activities. They do not believe in spirits, souls, ghosts, whatever you want to call them. And then to say that the murder happened, because it is not scientific, there is no proof that these things really exist, except for encounters of several people, but who have been through these experiences, but there is no absolute scientific evidence of this. So this was shocking to the public to hear that this kind of a defense is being used in the United States legal system, in the courtroom. So finally, when they took this as a defense for the murder, the judge refused to accept this defense. Then they had to go for self-defense as their theory. But self-defense also, if someone attacks somebody and then the person retaliates in self-defense, the retaliation would be one stabbing or two stabbing. It wouldn't be so many stabbings to a single guy in such a brutal manner. So this is hard to believe even as an act of self-defense. So finally, he was convicted of murder, but he was convicted on first degree manslaughter instead of first degree murder. So his sentence was around 10 to 20 years, but he ended up serving only around 5 years in court, and later on he got out and he eventually married the girl, so David's sister, whose boyfriend was possessed by this demonic entity which caused him to do the murders. So once he was out of the prison, he married the same girl, and then they were together until the girl died in 2021. So their love was true. So she got married to him even when he was in prison, to live happily after he got out of prison, and their love passed the test of time, you can say. So this is the first hand encounter of David, the kid who went through this paranormal incident of a demonic entity attack on him. This is one part of the documentary. Now the other part of the documentary, we see the eldest brother coming up with his own version of this entire story that has happened in front of his eyes as well. So after his mother had passed away, he was going through her diary, and where she had written that she gave a certain medicine to the entire family, all the boys, to just to keep the boys and the her husband in control, so that they feel tired and sleepy and they do not trouble her anymore. So the medicine was Sominex, and this medicine tends to cause hallucinations, it causes sleepiness. Under the influence of this medicine, it is possible that this entire episode of hallucinations and everything has happened, and there was really no demonic entity. So the kid, there is a possibility the youngest kid, David, who went through all this, is actually was actually hallucinating, or he was just trying to get his mother's attention, and this was one of the ways he saw that she was giving him the attention that he needed. So this was his theory, because one of the days when he was completely having one of those violent outbursts, his father comes into the room and gives him a slap and scolds him, and then he stops all this outburst of his and just sits quietly for some time. So if it is a demonic entity, how was the father's slap able to control him in this kind of a situation? So this is one of the questions that he raises in support of his theory. And the other thing he says is that the landlord who was killed by Arne is the boyfriend of his sister, who did the murder, was actually, so Debbie had a love affair with the landlord as well, and so out of jealousy and spite, he probably murdered this particular guy, and that is also a very strong theory. This is what the documentary covers. It's a very fascinating documentary about paranormal experiences. So whether this really happened, whether there was a really a demonic entity, or whether it was all just a farce, and this was just something that Ed and Lorraine Warren capitalized on and created a lot of money. I think they earned like thousands of dollars out of this story, and got more limelight with this kind of story and attention, because this was a very big story back then. So it's up to us, how do we want to interpret it. Because we hear both sides. So the actual person David says he felt it, he went through it, and this is all true. And the person who committed the crime also says that he has absolutely no recollection of this ever happening. And one of the paranormal investigators went and told to the police that she sees a possibility of somebody stabbing someone after this incident. It is a huge possibility. Now she doesn't go into details, but she does say this to the police much before that this incident even occurred. So how did she come to know that this happened? So this is also a possibility that we have to consider, that it is possible that it really happened. And then we have this elder brother story where he says, he discounts everything, and he says, how is a demonic entity and possession easily quietened by a slap by the father, and how is it that everybody, it's a huge possibility that everybody was under the influence of the medicine that the mother was giving. It gives you two point of views of an incident that occurred, and it is a really fascinating story. So please do let me know, what do you think happened? What are your views on this? Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. It will really help and motivate me to make more videos. Thank you for your time.